Hello, beautiful souls, and all the people who are tuning in. I appreciate you. And I'm just coming on here now. As I said in my last recorded video, I'm still getting into this. I don't know how to be like professional YouTuber or anything, but I'm just going to speak from my heart, speak from my soul, and let whatever needs to come out, because I already asked Spirit to open my heart, to just come in through my heart. Let me surrender to my heart and just speak the truth, speak the healing, the words that need to come out for people to hear and resonate. And yeah, so this video, I wanted to talk about more so my psychic gifts, intuitive gift, whatever you want to call it, my spiritual gift journey, and how I kind of always known that I had these gifts, but I just ran away from them because I thought I was supposed to, or I thought I was crazy, or what have you. So, trying to think, the earliest I can remember having some sort of psychic phenomenon, if you will. Definitely I was a vivid dreamer as a child. I dreamt very intensely as a child, and it's why I was very much afraid of the dark, because I could just feel like people were watching me. I felt like something was near me. I never heard anything when I was really, really young, but I always had a sense that something was watching me, and it creeped me out. You know, when I was younger, like, I don't know what to call it, like the scary movie that just ruined my life for whatever reason was Chucky, of all the movies. But I had a doll as a child. It was like a look like me doll that my mom got me for Christmas. And it was cool at first. And then, I was like, no, something's wrong with that doll. Even though I do have a story I'll tell later about that doll as I got older. But anyway, so I've always felt like things were always watching me. And I did used to sleepwalk a lot as a child too, which I think can be an indicator of something. Because I do remember a specific time I had a bunny rabbit, and her name was April. And I shouldn't have had rabbits. I was way too young. I was probably like 6 or 7. But anyways, she passed. One day we were out and we came home and she passed away. And we buried her in the backyard. And one night, or maybe maybe the next night or the same night, I slept walk. I don't remember doing it, obviously, but I slept walk outside, and I slept on my bunny's grave. And my mom woke up and couldn't find me because obviously I was sleeping outside on my bunny's grave, because I was so connected to the spirit of my pet that passed away. And I was emotional, and I was a child, so there's a lot, but I do feel like that was its own sort of, I guess, psychic experience, being so connected to a pet. That's the earliest thing I can think of. And then I remember one time I was at my grandparents' house. I don't know why, I was just sitting in their room. I was probably around 10. Yeah, probably 10. And I was chilling. My mom had just came to get me because I was there all weekend. And I don't know why I was in the room, but I was sitting on the bed, just kicking my feet in silence. I was by myself. I wasn't watching TV or nothing. I don't know what I was doing. But anyways, I was sitting there and I hear my mom call me and, okay, let's go or whatever. And I just hear a man's voice out of thin air say, "Bye, Danielle." And I was just like, I didn't say anything. I didn't respond because I'm a Black kid, and I'm like, I'm just going to ignore it and walk away because I don't have the time. I knew that, with all the scary movies, like, you just don't engage. You just ignore it. I don't know. I just ignored it. I was like, okay, cool. I just left and I never said anything about it. Well, that's not true. I did tell it to my mom, I think maybe like later in the car, or a year or so later. I was like, yeah, I remember this happening. And she was like, well, maybe it was such and such, some spirit of when she was a kid. Because she's like, oh, we used to have a ghost. And I was like, okay, maybe. Or she was like, well, maybe it was, an ancestor. She didn't say ancestor, like a family member saying goodbye. And I was like, okay, I guess. But like, my mom has always been like maybe to me. She's never said no or it's wrong, but I always doubted. I'm like, I don't know, sure, whatever. As much as I wanted superpowers and things, I still was like, no, I'm not special. But anyways, so that was something that stuck out with me. But I think me shutting it down is why I don't have clairaudience as clearly anymore. I do have symptoms of clairaudience, but again, talk about that later. And then after that, I can think of the time where I was home. I'm pretty sure I was home alone. If not, people were at least downstairs. But I was upstairs in my room. I went to my bathroom, and I had my doll, my lookalike doll that I got when I was a kid. So I'm like 12 or 13 at this time. And that doll is just there, you know, whatever. You just have stuff. And it's on a dresser next to my bed. And it's facing, the doll's head is facing the wall, like away, like just forward. There we go. It's facing forward from my bed. So it's not looking towards my bed. It's just parallel. That's the word. It's parallel. So I leave, whatever, not thinking anything about the doll. I'm just not thinking about it. I leave, go to the bathroom, do what I got to do. And I come back into my room and I notice that the doll's head is now turned towards my bed. And I'm like, obviously nobody else moved it because everyone's downstairs, if anybody was even home. But I'm like, no one was upstairs. No one was around me. My bedroom, the way it was set up was that it was at the end of the hall. And then you come out and then my bathroom, right, was outside right there. So nothing happened. No one came upstairs. I wasn't in there that long. And I said, absolutely not, because I had seen Chucky, obviously, and I was freaking out that this doll had magically moved his fucking head. So I got rid of it. I told my mom, you gotta get rid of this doll. I don't know what's wrong with it. It moved its head. I don't have the time. And we put it in another spare bedroom somewhere, and I don't know whatever happened to it. I don't know. I told her to get rid of it. I said, get rid of it. I don't want to see it ever again. Which as a child, you know, that's kind of creepy. You're just like, no, okay. So I definitely shut whatever the hell was happening down then. And then I remember we moved, and so we moved a lot. But we had switched back to being in the city. And I remember we were doing something called the Parade of Homes. It's where you get to go and see a bunch of old homes throughout the city that have been renovated, obviously, and people open their homes and you get to go see what they've done, these fancy rich people. And one of the homes that was on the tour used to be, I think it was like the mayor's home or the governor's. It was like the governor's mansion, I think is what it was called, actually. And so it was in the process of being renovated. Like somebody had bought it and it was just in the process, but you could see like the bones, you could see the house. And I thought that was really cool. So we went there. And it was a beautiful mansion, estate type of property. And it used to have, or it was also used at some point as a tuberculosis clinic. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. People definitely died here. Was my thought when we went there. And yeah, I think I was about 14 at this time. But yeah, we went and we're walking around and stuff. It's all fine and dandy. And I'm about to go up the stairs to the second floor, and all of a sudden I just get this, the best way to describe it is it felt like gravity was weighing me down. Like I just felt this very heavy sensation on my body, and it was thick, and I was like sluggish. I'm sitting there going up the stairs and I felt like I have to drag my legs, and everybody's just walking up normally, and I'm like, what the hell's happening? And I get to the top of the stairs and I say to my mom, I'm like, something's weird's going on. Like I feel really heavy. Like I don't know what's going on. And I tell her, like, I don't know what to do. I feel stuck or sluggish. And she's like, well, we are in a place where a lot of people probably died. So maybe the spirits are just trying to communicate with you. And my response is, well, it's hurting me, because I didn't process that, hey, this is a cool opportunity. I'm 14. I don't know. And she was like, well, if they're hurting you, you can just let them know. But I was like, yeah, no, it hurts. It wasn't that it hurt. It was just very unnerving and uncomfortable. And then as soon as I said that, the feeling went away. Like, and I was like, oh, it's gone. And she's like, well, maybe they were not trying to hurt you. They were just trying to communicate. And I said, okay, weird. Also, that governor's mansion or whatever it is strange. They had like weird flames on a door. They were clearly probably hurting people. There was like a makeshift jail cell. It was crazy. And sometimes I will still drive by there and I'm like, I wonder. But anyways, and then there was another home we went into, and as we were going up the stairs to the other home, I just felt something coming down the stairs, like something was walking down. There was no one there. Just felt the presence of someone walking down. And I was like, interesting. So that age is when I felt the most energetic experiences of spirits, and I didn't know much to do with that. I was just like, okay. And then, well, I guess I should mention a year before, because that was like when I was 14. The year before is when I started reading my first Wicca book, Teen Witch. It was a Llewellyn publication. And I just was more opened, I guess, then, because I was reading that book. And so I was like, oh, okay. And then I remember having an experience when I was also 14. We went to a, what do you call that? Like a witch's shop, spiritual store, metaphysical store, and it's not there anymore. But I remember going in there, and there was this quintessential witchy looking older white woman behind the counter. Like, I swear one of her eyes was cloudy. Like, she looks straight up like what they try to tell you witches look like, basically. And I was like, okay, cool. And thought not much of it. There's like all these beautiful bookshelves with all these books and, tools and all this stuff around. Like, cool. My mom was trying to support me in being Wiccan, even though my grandmother was not happy about it. But anyways, I go in there and I'm like looking around. I think I smiled at the lady, nothing. She didn't say anything to me, not that I remember. And then all of a sudden, I start feeling ill, like very, very uncomfortable, very lightheaded, very ungrounded, basically. Like the earth is moving beneath me. I'm like lightheaded. The room feels like it's spinning. It was just overwhelming sensation. I had to run out of the store. I was like, I don't feel good. I have to leave. My mom was like, what? I'm like, I don't feel good. I need to leave. I had to leave. I left. I was so overwhelmed. And once I got outside and was breathing fresh air, everything dissipated and I started to feel fine. And then obviously my mom came out. I was like, what's happening? I was like, I don't know. I can't be in there. Like, I just can't be in there. And then when we leave and we're talking about it, she says to me, well, you are on this journey of, trying to become a witch, and this is a witch's shop. Maybe the lady behind the counter was challenging you. And I was like, well, first off, that's rude. But I do know that's a thing, though, that people will try to test your energy, your power, maybe your intentions on something, or they're trying to maybe attack you. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what was happening. I don't know if that store had plenty of people of color ever coming into it, because this was a long time ago. So who knows? But it was something I definitely chalked up as, that's a little creepy and uncomfy to know that some people just want to throw their shit at me. So yeah, I think I had that experience. And then I can't really remember anymore. I just like throughout high school and stuff, I would have moments where I could feel like, there's probably spirits in this house or this room or this area or this land, but they were never intense. And I kind of just stopped trying to be witchy at one point. I just kind of like put that to the side, mainly because of the arguments that would occur with my grandmother and my mom arguing for me and all these different reasons that I was like, I'm just not going to do this. It's fine. Because I was never really drawn to Christianity, and my grandmother was always very much trying to make me go to church, and I was very vehemently against church. I'm like, I don't want to do that. And I'm not baptized and all these things. I'm just not that person. And so I feel like that is why eventually my gifts kind of went dormant, and I would still have occasional, I can sense spirit feelings, which is, I've always had that I can sort of sense spirits in a space or in a room or on a land, but it's never been intense. It's only, I feel like, when I try to take my life, that something at that moment like kicked in and was like, no, you need to get help. Like, the first thought I had was, you don't want to die here, you'll be a ghost. I don't know. That's what came to me at the time after I did whatever I did. I was at work when it happened. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I don't want to die here, because then I will be a ghost here. I'll be trapped here in this building. That was my thought. So I eventually called help and got help. And I'm grateful that I did, because low key, I was still planning. I'm like, I'll get help for now, but it's just, I don't want to die here on this land and be trapped. So I had originally planned that I was going to still go through with my idea of ending my life. And then I got help. And I don't know, yes, I got on medication. Yes, therapy helped a little bit. I don't know, but something shifted in me from then. I was like, no, I don't want to actually end my life. I don't want to not be here. And I don't know, something changed. And then ever since that moment, I got into the sound healing, and then I started doing Reiki, because I was like, I want to help people. I want to help people. I want to help people who feel lost, trapped, and struggling like me. I want to use the energy healing. I was like, I don't know if I'm psychic and all these things, but I definitely want to learn how to help people. And so I went on that path. And through going through the path, especially the Reiki journey, is when I noticed, no, I have abilities. I remember in one of our breakout sessions, I had a partner in the Reiki training program, and it was long distance because we didn't live in the same area. But over the phone or over Zoom, I would do distance Reiki on a bear. And when I was doing it for her, I, in my mind's eye, got the impression of a man's face. I couldn't see his face, but it's a man. And I was like, okay, interesting. And it was around one of her chakras. I don't remember at this time. And after I was done, and I told her, I was like, well, I saw this impression of a man when I was around your whatever. I don't know if that means anything to you, but, it felt important to say. And she, was like, oh, yeah, I'm having issues with my uncle and this, that, and the third. And I think it was around her throat. And she's like, yeah, I've been holding back saying something to him and da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, okay, well, I'm feeling like you definitely need to have this conversation. It'll help clear your throat blockage and stuff of that nature, right? And so it's like I would have hits here and there as I was exploring these gifts in this realm of being an energy healer and working with energy and being a sound healer and holding space for people. And it's always been very beautiful and very therapeutic because it heals myself at the same time when I engage with this type of work. And, I, again, pushed it to the side because I'm like, well, I have to make money doing this and I don't want to be seen. I don't want to do sound baths, and who's going to really believe that I'm healing them? Well, not me, but, doing anything with this Reiki. It's not something tangible. And all of those thoughts were in my head and plaguing me and stopping me from doing that thing. So I found real jobs and did other things that never made me happy, never made me feel fulfilled. Mind you, I went to art school. I have a bachelor's in photography and I tried that whole life. That's a whole other story. But the point is, that stuff didn't fulfill me the way that being in spirituality, being into energy work and the esoteric and the occult and witchcraft and whatever you want to call it, all of that type of stuff is where my heart sings and I get so excited and so much joy. And just all the synchronicities I receive and the imprints I receive, the impressions I receive, no, you need to do this, the knowings. And the more and more I've been, at least this year alone, tapping into that, like I built an altar for my ancestors. I had done that once before, but I wasn't consistent with it. But this year I was on it, and I've been meditating a lot more. I've been giving myself Reiki again because I stopped doing that. I just was like, oh, not that it's not real, but it's just like, well, I'm fine, being stupid, being hard-headed. And yeah, I not trusting myself, really what it was, not trusting myself. And trust, as Nicole said in the video, is the most important thing. Trusting yourself and also having faith in your spirit team. And building that ancestor altar is the biggest thing that has shown me to have that faith. Because every time I would do a divination pull, an oracle pull for myself, it's always have faith, have faith, have faith, and trust yourself, believe in yourself. That's where it starts with. And so I've been doing that work. And, we can get to the astrology of it all. My astrology even says, you're meant to be doing this. You're meant to be doing spiritual, artsy, leading the way work. You're meant to be seen, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't deny it. It's at least written in the stars, right? It's written in the stars. I'm a projector. I'm a splenic authority projector, and my life path number is 11. Like all of the things that you could look up about what you're supposed to do with your life purpose, I was all like, you're meant to be a spiritual leader, spiritual worker, do that. I even had a reading recently. It was a great reading over the phone, and the reader said to me, he was like, your ancestors are telling me that you need to be doing something spiritual. He's like, do you do readings or something? I was like, well, I have Reiki ability. He's like, that, like, you need to be leaning more into that. He's like, I don't usually tell people to be spiritual or do, spiritual work, but they're yelling at me. You need to be leaning more into that. And I think that reading was about a month and a half ago. And the reading was fabulous. But it was just like, yeah, no, I've been running away from this for too long. And I have to embrace that this is who I am. And I've done meditations about my ancestors and them feeling, like that curse, that generational curse of we can't do this work. We can't express ourselves, be our authentic selves, share our voices. We're not allowed to do that. And I, being basically the black sheep of the family when it comes to this kind of work, like everybody was really sporty in my family, and higher education is super important, which is why I went to art school, because I didn't want to do anything that was considered normal. I didn't want to be a doctor. I didn't want to be a lawyer. I didn't want to be a therapist, really. I didn't want to be a nutritionist. There was nothing that normal people want to do that I wanted to do. A nurse. My mom was a nurse. My grandmother was a nurse. They all wanted me to be a nurse, but I'm like, I don't want to work with people like that. And in a way, I'm working in the healing industry just on an energetic level. I'm an energetic nurse, right? So it is a little different, but I can't keep running away, right? Is the message that I kept receiving. You can keep trying these things, but you won't find the happiness that you desperately have been asking for and wanting. And we are guiding you to this thing. It's this thing, and you need to step into it and own it. And so that's why I just made these 2 videos to post, because I'm owning it. I'm owning who I am. I'm sharing my voice so other people can know that it's okay to own who you are as well, whatever that may be. It may not be being a psychic or whatever. If you want to be a writer, if you want to be a dancer, if you want to be a photographer, if you want to be a therapist, if you want to be a lawyer and fight for people in a certain way, whatever the case may be, do that thing. Do that thing that actually is of service to people. Do that thing that isn't causing harm to people. Do the thing that's actually going to raise the collective frequency of the earth to love. That's the message I'm feeling, because people might want to be certain things that are not helpful to people, and I don't want to advocate for that. I want to advocate for people who want to be making a change in whatever field that looks like for them. But I know that I'm meant to be a mystic. I'm meant to be an artist. I'm meant to be an energetic healer, a psychic, a medium, whatever, all those things. And I'm claiming that. That is who I am. That is my birthright. That is my ancestral lineage. And I will no longer ignore that. So, yeah, I hope that this story, as all over the places it was inspiring to you. And that you, again, feel that permission within yourself to trust yourself, your solar plexus. Trust in your solar plexus is where your instinct is, your gut, your wisdom, your willpower, all of that, your motivation. Trust in that. Trust in that knowing that what you're doing is aligned for you. So, thank you for listening to me. Appreciate you all. Thank you. I appreciate you so much, honestly. I really do. It felt really good to do this and get over this fear. So I hope you have a blessed day.